Welcome to the first of our study sessions for the F9 paper, Financial Management. This is the introductory study session. The plan today is to take you through a broad outline of the syllabus and the exam, and also to introduce you to the subject matter of the Financial Management paper. We'll look at the following during the course of this brief session, which should last about 12 or 13 minutes. Firstly, we'll consider what we mean by financial management by looking at some very basic definitions. Then we'll look at the structure of the syllabus for this paper by considering the financial management function as a whole. We'll then move on to look at some specific details for the exam, including those syllabus areas that are examined most frequently. We'll move on to consider what you will need to do over the course of the next week to follow up this video introduction. We'll briefly look at your forthcoming study sessions, of which there will be 9 over the basically 13-week period of the course. Finally, we'll consider the contents of each study session and what you will need to be studying between these video clips. Let's start by considering what we mean by financial management. These are some basic definitions drawn from an online dictionary. Financial we can take to mean relating to money or how money is managed. Management we can take to mean the control and organisation of something. So if we put those two terms together, when we're looking at financial management, what we're considering is the control and organisation of money. Let's see how that all fits together on the ACCA syllabus. So financial management deals with the control and organisation of money. The kind of areas we have to look at when we're considering the subject matter of financial management is firstly the sources of money. What types of finance business can use to finance their operations, and indeed what the cost of that finance is, the amount of interest, for instance, that the organisation will have to pay. We'll also be considering the uses of finance. Basically, large corporate organisations can use money in 2 ways. They can either invest it in their own future activities, or they can distribute it to their owners, the shareholders of the business. So in financial management, we're looking at where money comes from, its sources, and how it's going to be used by the business, the way it's going to be invested or distributed to the owners. Clearly, organisations have hold of money during the intervening period. They have control of that money. So we'll need to look at areas of management to do with the control of money while it's in the organisation's hands. If we look a bit further into that, as far as sources of finance are concerned, then we need to be considering the main types of finance that businesses can raise, either from their owners in the form of equity or from others in the form of debt. We also need to consider the cost of those sources of finance, how a business can evaluate which types of finance are costing it the most. As far as using finance is concerned, we'll need to consider long-term investment activities by the company and the process of distributing money to the company's shareholders, the dividend policy decisions. In the shorter term, while we have money within the organisation, we need to consider the broad areas of, firstly, working capital management, the day-to-day management of the resources we need to run the business, and risk management. The risk management part of this syllabus focuses in on 2 areas of money management: foreign currency risk management and interest rate risk management. The syllabus asks us to consider different types of organisation, a basic split between private sector and not-for-profit organisations, and asks us to consider different timescales. Again, we can make a two-way split there between short-term financial management and long-term financial management. The syllabus follows this kind of split of the subject matter of financial management. So syllabus areas A and B look at the broad background of financial management, the financial management function, and the economic background to financial management. That's syllabus areas A and B. As far as sources of finance are concerned, we're looking at syllabus areas E and F. Syllabus area E, which looks at raising business finance, and syllabus area F, which asks us to consider in some detail the cost of sources of finance, an area we know as the cost of capital. Under the short-term financial management area, we'll be considering working capital management, where we look at general principles of working capital management, but also look specifically at the areas of inventory management, receivables management, payables management, and cash management and budgeting. As far as risk management is concerned, as we've already said, we're looking mainly at foreign currency risk management and interest rate risk management. As far as the uses of finance are concerned, the two main syllabus areas are syllabus area D, which deals with investment appraisal, and syllabus area G, which deals with business valuation. So the syllabus areas in a bit more detail are the following. Syllabus area A deals with the role and purpose of financial management. I'll ask you to consider that in this first week. It's covered in the first chapter in your study text. Syllabus area B looks at the general impact of the economic environment, particularly upon businesses. Syllabus area C is the working capital management area, then D, investment appraisal. E, listed here as business finance, will mainly be considering sources of business finance. Syllabus area F, where we're examining the cost of finance or the cost of capital for a business. Syllabus area G, where we look at issues surrounding business valuation. And finally, syllabus area H on risk management. Let's consider how these areas are examined. So the exam is broadly a 3-hour exam. You do get 1/4 hour reading time on the F9 syllabus, and the exam paper has on it 4 25-mark compulsory questions. The aim of the examiner is to try and assess across the broad range of the syllabus. The following slide shows us how those syllabus areas have been examined in the exams since the new syllabus started in December 2007. So taking an average across the exams since then, this is broadly the way in which the syllabus areas have been examined. As you see, 2 syllabus areas stand out there. Syllabus area D on investment appraisal and syllabus area C on working capital management are almost always the subject of a full 25-mark question. The other substantive areas of the syllabus, sources of finance, cost of capital, business valuation and risk management, tend to form parts of the other 2 questions on the exam. We can't be absolutely certain how the exam is going to be made up, but we've had a good picture from previous exams of the key areas the examiner sees on this syllabus. And it is because of the way in which the syllabus is examined that's going to dictate the way in which we follow this course. So we will be looking at those 2 main syllabus areas, syllabus area C and D, first of all, starting from our second study session next week. But what I want you to do in this week is to follow up this introductory video in the following ways. Firstly, I'd like you to look at the introductory section of your studies text. Familiarise yourself with the syllabus a little more, look at the guidance notes that are given to using the text in that introductory section. Then I'd like you to look at Chapter 1 on the financial management function, the area that's covered in Section A of the syllabus. I will give you some brief guidance questions I want you to consider while you're reading that in a minute. Then I need you to look at the examiner's approach article for this paper, which you will find on the ACCA website and on Blackboard. That gives you good guidance to what the examiner considers to be the key areas of this syllabus. You can back that up by looking at the transcript of or the video clip of the examiner's approach interview from the ACCA website. Once you've done that, you'll be building up a good picture of what we'll be studying over the course of the next 12 weeks or so. Then you could look at the syllabus and study guide. I wouldn't necessarily say that you should attempt to understand that fully at the moment. It will just give you further detail of these main areas that we will be considering. Now, let's consider the material covered in Chapter 1 of your textbook on the financial management function. There are 4 key areas that I need you to be familiar with before we get on to the next area of the syllabus. So, I'd like you to consider the following questions and make sure you're happy with the answers to those over the course of the following week. Firstly, who are the main stakeholders in a business organisation, and what do those stakeholders expect of the organisation? There are various different ways in which we can divide stakeholder groups, but at this stage I need you to be able to identify the main stakeholders in a business organisation. Secondly, I'd like you to consider what the key financial objective of a business is. There is a tendency to say the objective of business from a financial point of view is to maximise profits. We need a slightly more nuanced definition than that, so I need you to consider how you might more closely define what the key financial objective of a business is and how we might go about measuring whether or not a business has reached that financial objective. Thirdly, we need to consider the issue of the agency problem. What do we mean by the agency problem, and how can that agency problem be managed, particularly within the context of large corporate businesses? Finally, because the syllabus asks us to consider a range of organisations, I'd like you to consider how the financial management function might differ in not-for-profit organisations from the large corporate businesses that form the focus of this syllabus. That's broadly what I'd like you to consider in this first week. Now, in each of our study sessions, we will be considering one main area of the syllabus. Some of the syllabus areas C and D, because they tend to be the focus of single questions on the exam, we'll study over 2 sessions. So our forthcoming study sessions will be as follows. Firstly, we'll have study sessions 2 and 3 on investment appraisal, starting by considering the basic features of investment appraisal, the basic methods of investment appraisal that you need to be familiar with, and then building up some complications investment appraisal in specific areas in our subsequent session. Then we'll spend 2 weeks on working capital management. Firstly, an introductory session, general principles of working capital management, and we will also look at inventory in that session, and then a session which looks in more detail at the specific areas of receivables or debtors, payables or creditors, and cash management. That forms the first half of our course, if you like. We'll then look at the other areas of the syllabus. We'll start with the risk management area, where we'll be looking at foreign currency risk management and interest rate risk management. We will move on to consider sources of finance and the general economic environment. We'll then move in to look at the rather complex computational area of establishing an organisation's cost of capital, before we round up the formal input part of the course by considering issues relating to business valuation. We'll then have as our final session, which will run over the last 3 weeks or so leading up to the exam, a revision session. It's during that period that you will be doing a considerable amount of computational question practice. In each study session, you will broadly be following the following course of study. Firstly, we'll have these kinds of introductory video clips. Then I would expect you to be going to the study guide, which will guide you through the relevant portions of the study text. That will form the bulk of your home study for each session. At the end of each session, once you've worked through the study guide and the study text, I'll be setting you some reflective questions to consider, and also once we get into the course, I'll be setting you some exam level questions which I'd like you to do before each weekly webinar. And it's at the weekly webinars that we will be going in particular over any computational issues that you have. Thank you very much for listening. I look forward to seeing you in our next study session.